So in this constant drive of struggling to chase success, I was living a stressed out life. I wasn't sleeping. I was working long hours. And basically, I chose disease. But when I recognized that those choices made me sick, can I make a choice to also be well? Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive State Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kien, popularly known as Dr. V, triple board certified MD and performance and longevity expert. And I welcome you to another podcast of the Thrive State. And we use the word Thrive State all the time. I hope many people understand the term Thrive State. And every now and again, I like to post an interview that someone has of me. And on this particular episode, I actually share with you an interview I had from host Gayle Guyardo of Bloom TV in Tampa. Please check out the Bloom TV podcast, which this is airing. But on this episode, I talk a little bit about my story, about basically how I came into this country as a boat refugee, of how I actually got chronic disease, and also how I reversed it, and actually how I discovered what the Thrive State really is. And if you've been following the content, you would know that really our DNA is constantly listening to the energy that's around it. Our DNA is not fluid. It doesn't just make RNA and protein on its own. It requires signal from the outside environment. And if we give the right signals to our DNA will reward us with optimal health, longevity, and peak performance. If your DNA is sensing that there's danger from the outside world, say you're not eating very well, say you're angry all the time, say you're lonely, all these factors are signals that our DNA is constantly listening to. And if your DNA determines that you are in danger, it will actually activate the stress response. And the stress response will elevate cortisol, it will elevate your blood pressure, it will increase inflammation, and it will lower your immunity. And that energy actually puts your cells prone to not functioning very well, and that leads to chronic symptoms and chronic disease. So really understanding how you create this energetic environment for your cells that will optimize your cells' performance, that's really the Thrive State. That's really the key to optimal health, longevity, and peak performance. And ultimately, what you'll really learn is the messages you give to your cells is ultimately up to you, up to your choices, your habits, and the actions that you take. That's all it is. If you could control and master those things, and trust me, it's not so easy, but if you can master those things, you'll master the messages you give to your cells. That is why you are your best medicine. You'll find out all about this. If you haven't picked up a copy of my book, please do so. Or if you want to pick up 3 free chapters of my book, go to thrivestatebook.com and we'll send 3 free chapters right away so you can get started. And if you want to go a little bit further and take this journey, and if you would like to go even further and do deeper work with myself and my team, take the Thrive State Accelerator. It's really a home course that I use to take all my clients to the Thrive State. Go to kienvu.com/accelerator and use the code podcast25. Get yourself 25% off to get yourself into the Thrive State. I really hope you can tell from my energy how excited I am about this concept of Thrive State, and how if you adopt this concept of Thrive State yourself, you will really give yourself the access to the next level of your health, of your life, of your relationships. And that's what I want for you, because I know that when you get there, you're going to be able to serve your gifts in a big, big way. And this is really my dream, is so many people really, truly sharing their gifts with everybody in the world. Imagine if every human being in the world was basically being the superhero versions of themselves. How awesome would humanity evolve at that time? That's really my wish for everybody. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And you can support myself and the show by going to ratethispodcast.com/ThriveState. Give us a 5-star review if you're enjoying our message. And please enjoy this interview with Gayle Guyardo.
Tell us about Thrive State and why you decided to write the book.
Well, as a doctor who set out his life initially to help heal people, I realized I didn't have the tools. And after becoming sick myself and realizing that now 1 in 2 Americans have a chronic disease. And even more than that, have multiple chronic diseases. And the chronic disease statistic continues to rise. And in fact, just a couple of years ago, when the life expectancy actually elevated every single year, a few years ago, it actually dropped. So this is where America is headed. And because people around the world adopt American lifestyle and food, the rest of the world is getting this also. And I realized this is such a major problem that once I solved it for myself, I realized, oh my God, our best medicine is not in a pill. Our best medicine is right here. The best doctor of the future will actually be you. When you understand that how you live your life can actually give your cells the signal for optimal health, then you can really, avoid yourself from getting a lot of diseases that are happening today. But not only that, you'll have the energy, you'll have the vitality, you'll have, the joy to just live life with joy and spread your joy and your gifts with other people. And that's why I wrote the book. Sit here and talk to you about all the latest advances we have in the longevity space, about stem cells, about wearables, about gene technology, about all these different things that's really, touted to extend the lifespan further than we ever thought possible. But if we look at the blue zones, if we go around the world looking at where people live the longest, we're talking about Okinawa, we're talking about Costa Rica, Sardinia, Loma Linda, California. Look at those places. They don't have these technologies. They don't have all these fancy things of biohacking that we currently have, but they're living longer. And so what are we learning from these populations? We're learning that we're really losing a sense of what it's really like to live as a human being. And that requires moving. That requires resting. That requires eating the right foods and not these processed Franken foods that are out there. That requires being in community and loving each other, serving each other with who we are as people. All these things we're meant to do as human beings, but we've lost that with technology. We've got refrigeration that can make food last a really long time, but really isn't food. We've got all these technological advances, but we're forgetting what it's truly like to live as a human. And you know what? Our biology is responding to that. And this is where the chronic disease is coming from. I wanted to become somebody who was a speaker, who could inspire by my story and voice, but I was quieted down by my parents. I had this joy of maybe doing some performing, but again, quieted down by the social conditions that said, no Asians not doing martial arts can be in the media. And so throughout our lives, parts of that joy get quieted down throughout the way if you don't listen to your own heart. And I think that's the true beauty of that particular TEDx talk, is following who you are actually tells your own genes that you're living your fullest life, and it will gift you with optimal health, longevity, and peak performance. But living a life that's not true to you, chasing something that other people will say will make you happy, which I've done before, that will leave you a stressful life. And that stressful life will lead to stress hormones, which is cortisol, which will increase your blood pressure, increase inflammation. It will lower your immune system and basically set your body up to get chronic disease and chronic symptoms.
This episode of the Thrive State podcast is brought to you by the Thrive State Accelerator. The Thrive State Accelerator is actually a home course that I developed using the exact same techniques I work with my celebrity clients, CEOs, and executives on how to get them to the Thrive State. The Thrive State Accelerator teaches you how to master your 7 bioenergetic elements. That's sleep, nutrition, movement, stress and emotional mastery, relationships, our thoughts and mindset, as well as purpose. In this Thrive State Accelerator, you're also going to get a bonus module on optimization. That's how I talk about supplementation, peptides, all the optimization techniques I use with my clients to get them to the Thrive State. Now, for some of you who are just joining us for the first time, you guys might be wondering, what is the Thrive State? Well, the Thrive State is actually the energy, the epigenetic environment we give to ourselves, telling our DNA how to act and how to respond. And if we want optimal health, longevity, and peak performance, if we can master these 7 bioenergetic elements, our ability to have those 3 things that we just said, optimal health, longevity, and peak performance is at its greatest. And it also prevents you from getting chronic symptoms like brain fog, being overweight, feeling sluggish, acne, pain, all these chronic symptoms, as well as preventing you from getting chronic disease. So getting to that thrive state is really getting to that state to master being that very best version of yourself so you could show up for you, for your family, for your business, everything that's important to you. So go ahead, check it out right now at kienvu.com/accelerator and use coupon code podcast25 for 25% off. Now back to the podcast.
If you just look at the seventh thing and you pick the easiest one to do, the easiest thing for you, whatever that is, whether it be wake up a little earlier and go exercise, whether it be sleep an extra hour, whatever it might be, the easiest thing for you to do, if you apply that, it's going to start to shift your biology already. You're going to start to shift how you feel. And then when you get a little bit better, pick the next easiest thing. They'll also shift that energetic environment. Remember, they're all connected, each one of these things. And so the thing that's, you find so difficult to do, once you start working on the easy things, those things become easier. So work on the easiest things first. And again, you're going to build energetic momentum to put you into the thrive state.
What is next for you, Dr. Vu? I know you're a very busy man. I know the people that follow you and that follow your practices and take your advice. It's been a game changer for many. So how will you grow this? How will you cast the net even wider?
Well, I basically have this dream of basically being the next generation version of a doctor on TV. And I want to use media and entertainment, the thing that as a kid, I've always enjoyed doing. But how do we mix that and then give them this message, give the message to people that you are your best medicine, to follow your heart. And I just want to give that message over and over again to as many people that will listen, because I feel like people have potentially lost themselves and given away their power when it comes to health and living the life of their dreams.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Thrive State podcast. And if this podcast is bringing a lot of value to you, if you find that your life is just improving with this podcast, that your life is getting to the next level, please consider supporting it. And here's a few ways you can do so. You can do so by liking this video and commenting on this video, and also sharing this video with your friends and family. Another thing you can do is go to ratethispodcast.com/Thrive State. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review there. It will really, really help this show grow. And this will give me more time so that I could actually give more content to you, just like you got in this episode. And if you haven't already picked up a copy of my book, Thrive State, Your Blueprint for Optimal Health, Longevity, and Peak Performance, you can pick it up now. It became a #1 new release in longevity. Go to thrivestatebook.com. And if you enjoy the book, please consider leaving us a review as well. And the last thing you can do, if you're liking everything here and you want to work more closely with me as well as my team to get you into the Thrive State, go to kienvu.com/accelerator and consider joining the home course, the Thrive State Accelerator. It's really the course that I use. It's the concepts that I use personally when I work with CEOs, celebrities, and my high-profile clients to get them to the Thrive State. Again, the Thrive State Accelerator at kienvu.com/accelerator. And because you're a listener of this podcast, I want you to save 25% by using the coupon code podcast25. I hope we continue to give value to you. And remember always, you are your best medicine.